There's a letter in here from my father, who was up there hanging out with us. And he wrote from his office what happened to that dude ranch after we had left.
Really?
There seems to have been great excitement at CM Ranch soon after you and I left. For one thing, Theron's office assistant, Lynn Lee, and his wife arrived for a visit, and Mr. Lee fell off his horse, breaking 2 ribs and a shoulder bone, and was rushed off to the hospital. After that, Phyllis Jones and Alice Brewer, Ann's companions, returned from California and put up in a cabin camp in Du Bois. They then came over to the ranch and asked that Hillary and Wes Childs be allowed to go to town with them. Marion Moore, she was one of the owners of the dude camp, dude ranch, refused. But the 2 girls sneaked out anyway at about midnight and were found by Oni at 3 o'clock in the morning in a car parked down the road. With them were Milton Holman and Stuart and Kenneth Williams. They were all drunk, and Oni broke up the party. That same evening, Janet Roosevelt, yeah, she was there, that's one of the Roosevelt daughters, also sneaked out and spent the evening with Bill Jackson. That's the wrangler that we were up there with. He rode all the way down the mountain, a whole day's trip. At night, dated, took out Roosevelt, and then came back up the mountain the same night. And was there when we were getting up. Oh. That's a long haul, and in the dark, on a horse. Anyway, they returned also about 3 o'clock. So we brought Janet Roosevelt back at 3 o'clock. The next morning, Charlie Moore, he's the big boss of the dude ranch, sent Janet and Hillary and Wesley home. Sent all the girls home. That same night, Bill Jackson, that's my guy, and Cliff Howe were found down by the chicken house having a beer party with Phyllis and Allison. Well, they're at it again, those 2 cowboys. The next day, Sunday afternoon, Marion found 2 girls, Allison and Phyllis, having another beer party with Bill Jackson, Cliff and Ken. Oh, they're at it the second time. And when Bill Jackson stood up for the girls, Charlie gave him 15 minutes to get his paycheck and leave the ranch. Cliff and Ken, the other wranglers, feeling the injustice of Bill, also quit their jobs and left the ranch. That'll teach that old guy. Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, oh yeah, this is when we took our sloop, my old boat, went sailing. But that was all that story about this ranch where Ann Watson, who's just up the road, within an hour or 2 from here, I think she'd love to hear some of these stories.
Yeah.
And I got this letter from her father and this letter from her mother, plus a letter from my father to show her. I was going to mail it to her, but
How did you find all that stuff?
I had this big envelope. I didn't know what was in it. It's a blank envelope. I was ready to...
Is that a military stamp you got?
No, this is the stamp you get.
That's not a stamp. I mean, you can't just
Printed in the envelope.
print it on the envelope.
You buy them already stamped, so you haven't seen that before?
No. I've seen stamps in an envelope with a printed stamp, but nothing like that.
This envelope is recyclable and made with 30% post-consumer content.